Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Kellen Mackerel Cooper. I use she, her, and hers pronouns. I serve as the Associate Director at Trotter Multicultural Center. Today, we're going to talk a little bit, or actually a lot, about Trotter Multicultural Center, understanding some history behind it. You'll get to know a little bit more about the building itself, why students, staff, and faculty members might use it, and we'll answer some frequently asked questions towards the end of the presentation. But let's go ahead and get started. William Monroe Trotter, our namesake of the building, was born in 1872 and died in 1934. Our building is named after an actual person. He is the only Black man that any University of Michigan building is named after. He was born in Ohio and is known as a well-known civil rights activist who advocated for Black liberation. He's also the founder and editor of a Boston-based newspaper called The Guardian, which was a weekly newspaper for African Americans. If you happen to hop into our building at any point in time, you'll be able to see his picture located on the first floor. Right before I start to this next slide, I want to just let you all know that we're going to be showing a video about 2 to 3 minutes long, so you'll have a little bit more information about Trotter, the building, the history behind it, and the space itself.
For close to 50 years, Trotter has served as a student space. We began as Trotter House, a Black student cultural center founded in 1971 as a result of a campus-wide strike organized by the First Black Action Movement, also known as BAM, to protest against discrimination and marginalization of Black students. After Trotter was damaged by fire, it relocated to 1443 Washtenaw Avenue in 1972. And in 1981, it was renamed to Trotter Multicultural Center to match an expanded mission of enhancing multicultural awareness and understanding for all students. In 2014, the Black Student Union started #BBUM, Being Black at the University of Michigan, to spark discussions about Black students' experience on campus. One of the 7 demands issued to U of M administration was to build a new Trotter Multicultural Center facility located on Central Campus. Today, the William Monroe Trotter Multicultural Center lives in a centralized location on campus at 428 South State Street and opened its doors on April 11, 2019. The Trotter Multicultural Center continues to serve as a supportive home and environment to those committed to social justice and diversity, and as a space that celebrates the tradition and history of the Trotter Multicultural Center and student activism. At Trotter, we offer signature programs, meeting and lounge spaces, and on-site student support services. We look forward to seeing you at Trotter. Please visit our website for the latest information on events and happenings at the Trotter Multicultural Center. For close to 50 years, Trotter has
Hey, hi everyone. My name's Jenny Chung. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the Programming and Building Operations Manager at Trotter. Since I work with our building operations, I'll be giving you a building tour to let you know what to expect when you come to our building. So the primary way you'll interact with our building is probably through our meeting and lounge spaces. We also have classroom spaces available, so you might see us in that context as well. All of these spaces are public spaces and can be used by anyone during our building hours. And you can also reserve spaces for your private meetings or events, such as with your student organization. So on our first floor, we have the Sankofa Lounge, which is using the Twi word from Ghana to mean looking at both the past and towards the future. It's a community-oriented space, and you will notice in the background that we have floor-to-ceiling wallpaper highlighting U of M student activism from 1968 to 2017. This wallpaper can also be updated to reflect current events as history continues to develop. We also have a TV for casual viewing, and this is a community-oriented lounge space where a lot of students will gather to hang out with each other and study. Next, on our second floor, we have our student organization lounge. This is primarily a meeting space, a study space, and we also offer 20 student organization lockers for students to apply to use. This space is reservable only by student organizations as well. Something you'll notice in the wallpaper is that the wallpaper has hashtags on it as a nod to the BBUM movement, which was mentioned earlier in the video. In our basement, we have a multi-purpose room, which is used for classrooms and event spaces, and this is reservable by the general public. And we have one nice outdoor space, our roof garden deck. It's located just off of the second floor. A lot of people use this to study or just to hang out. And again, this is reservable only by student organizations. Finally, we have a few private study rooms. We have 2 huddle rooms and 5 quiet study cubicles located throughout our building primarily for studying, but also sometimes for meetings, or if someone is doing a private interview, they will book this space to use. Okay. We also have a quiet zone, which is a dedicated space for quiet study and reflection. So we'll look more specifically at the rooms available. We have 2 reflection rooms in our quiet study zone. One is smaller and the other one is larger, as you can see in the photos. This is space to pray, reflect, or meditate for people who need a quiet moment. The large reflection room is also reservable, and these are M-Card access only spaces. Outside of our large reflection room, we also have storage shelves for shoes and other belongings. There's comfortable chairs, mats, and benches, and dividers for privacy. You'll also notice that on the right side, you can see a picture of our foot bath. This is the first foot bath on the U of M Ann Arbor campus. The first one's in Dearborn, and now there are 2 on campus. These are for people to wash their feet for religious or spiritual rituals before entering the reflection room. And now I'll pass it off to Josh and Priscilla.
Hey y'all, so Josh Thurman, he, him, his pronouns, and I'm one of the program managers at Trotter that oversees the Intercultural Learning, Interfaith Program, and Cultural Engagement.
Hi everyone, my name is Priscilla Papias and I use she, her, and hers pronouns, and I oversee the Trotter Distinguished Leadership Series along with our signature series, Flourish, and finally the Inclusive Student Leadership Program.
So we're going to go through in detail some of the programs that we offer. So starting with the Intercultural Learning Program. So at Trotter, we create inclusive and intentional learning spaces for our students. So the Intercultural Learning Program focuses on encouraging global and inclusive mindsets as a strategy to effectively engage across difference. So some ways that you might interact with us is potentially through a class cohort. So we partner with a bunch of different classes and schools and departments across the University of Michigan that you can see on the right side, in which we might be using the intercultural development inventory or one of the other many assessment tools that we use as part of our portfolio to help to advance the work in this area. Or you might engage with us through a topical workshop. So we've worked with closely some student organizations at the University of Michigan to do workshops, for example, that you see on the left side, such as intercultural learning and exploration of organizational cultures, and in short, being able to just explore what are some of those different cultures that may exist for your organization and how you all might be able to engage to effectively operate as an organization more effectively, right? So that's some of the work that we do in the intercultural learning realm of the work, and 2 of the ways that you might engage with Trotter in that programmatic area specifically. Priscilla, you're muted. You're good.
Thank you. Thank you all. So as I mentioned earlier, this is a Flourish series, and through this series, we explore the intersection of personal wellness and social identities. And so on your right, you can see a couple of topics that we cover, but amongst them, that includes academic wellness, social and emotional wellness, along with physical wellness and financial wellness. There are a couple other topics that we cover, but essentially every week, once a week over the course of 1 month, at the beginning of the semester, we cover one dimension of wellness. And really the aim of Flourish is to connect you, the participants, with individuals and resources across campus that can help you flourish at the University of Michigan. So along with today's theme, this is another great way to get to know Michigan. And some quotes from previous participants, as you can see on the little air bubbles. The style of the event was very personal, inviting. Discussion was driven by the students in attendance, and the event had a comfortable, inviting vibe. Yes, at the core of what we do is try to make it intimate and try to facilitate those conversations. And in the images you see there, we had a trap salsa event. So we were up and moving our bodies in the building in Sankofa Lounge.
So another of the programs that Trotter offers is the Interfaith Program. So this is a partnership between the Center for Campus Involvement. So I don't know if you all have had the opportunity to learn a little bit about them, but we partner with them to provide this campus-wide initiative that allows students to explore their own religious, spiritual, secular identity and make connections with their peers and other worldviews. So sometimes there's this, there might be a thing where folks may not think that you can talk about religion at a university or public institution, but part of our role in the Interfaith Program is to actually create spaces, knowing that one's religious, spiritual, or secular identity is part of their holistic identity as well, and their wellness as well, and being able to create spaces and where folks can be able to engage in some of that work and not only explore their own, but also be in spaces where they can engage with others and share some perspective and learn from others as well as it pertains to religious, spiritual, and secular identity. So some previous events that we've done, we've held some interfaith dialogue. So actually this past semester, because we were mainly virtual for our programmatic efforts, we had the opportunity to provide some space for students to gather virtually and provided some food where they were able to engage and talk about some of their experiences surrounding their religious, spiritual, secular identity and make some of those connections as well. And then we've had some foundational terms and concepts where there's some basic overview of just some terminology. So for some folks, religious, spiritual, and secular identity or those words are new, and being able to introduce that and get some foundations to that terminology. And then you see some of the other ones that we've offered in the past.
And the next program that I'll be talking about is the Trotter Distinguished Leadership Series. So to highlight what it is that we bring in high-level speakers, both from the private and public sector, and really they discuss in panels or as individuals big ideas, and it's really to spark conversations with things that matter to the University of Michigan community. And so previous speakers that we've had in the past include Dr. Monahana Tisha, local politicians such as Representative Sarah Anthony, along with Senator Stephanie Chang, folks that are within journalism, such as Peter Bhatia, who's the editor for the Detroit Free Press, along with Condoleezza Rice, whose image you can see right at the center, and one other individual we hosted was Jim Federling, who's the CEO of Dow Inc. And so as you saw sort of through the connection with Flourish and some of the programs that Josh had shared, these are places where you can connect with people, learn about the topics that the presenters are speaking about, and then highlighted at the top in the yellow square, this is what one participant shared. TDLS events feel very personal and intimate, creating a great environment for students, staff, and community members to learn from the speakers and moderators. And as you can see, intimate in that the person to your right, that was Dr. Mona Hanatisha was able to sneak in a picture with one of our student participants. We do try to make each one a little bit unique. And so for another one, and you can see this to your left, we were able to provide participants with books of our speaker at that time. And then the last program that we'll be talking about is the Inclusive Student Leadership Program. And so this is a program series that we are trying to develop further. We do some of our work with the School of Social Work, and what is at the core of this program is trying to facilitate student leadership development. And some of our tenets that we use to guide this program include topics on empathy, critical consciousness, commitment to justice, equity, and purpose, values of collective action, controversy with courage, and coalescence. So very much in line with our history around student activism. This is one way we're trying to help support student leadership. And then in the middle, you can see in the yellow rectangle, some of our past programs have included program titles like Ignite and Implement, Increasing Student Voice in DEI Work, where we brought in students to talk about DEI topics as it relates to a campus. The next one, Lenses of Leadership, Student Leader DEI Luncheon. For this one, we brought in a panel of students that represented different organizations across campus, and they were able to talk about their student leadership experiences. From that session, students in the audiences were connecting with students on the panel, so it was very much an organic, like trying to communicate a little bit more about their experiences and then also help foster relationship building. And then the last one, which was really neat and we're hoping to do in the future, where your student leadership will take you, a mouthful, but essentially we brought in different alumni from across that are currently still staff at the University of Michigan. And they were speaking to their experiences doing student leadership roles while they were students at the University of Michigan. So it was a nice way to get snippets of how their leadership has shaped them to the individuals they currently are, both personally and professionally. And so aside from the in-person or programmatic offerings, we also offer in-person services. So we have collaborations with some other partners, including the University Library, Sweetland Center for Writing, the Student Life University Health Service, and the University Career Service. And so what they do is that when we were doing in-person work, they would come once a week or a couple times a week and they would offer their services. So in the case that you weren't able to make it to their other hours, this was one centralized location, the Trotter Multicultural Center, where you can get access to how to do a research report through the library consultants, or how to spruce up your resume through the Career Center. And so this is something that we're hoping to host in the fall as well, and we'll make sure to communicate that out through our communication channels.
Hello, everyone. The slides just advanced. We had a very wonderful frequently asked questions slide, but my name is Nathan Hanke. I use he, him pronouns and serve as the Intercultural Learning and Innovation Lead here at the Trotter Multicultural Center. As a part of this in-person or this live seminar, we would encourage, if you have a question, others likely have that question as well. So please use the chat function of the meeting to chime those in, and my colleagues and I will address those as well. I'm going to go through a few frequently asked questions, but wanted to do a quick recap of what we've gone over so far. The Trotter Multicultural Center on the campus of the University of Michigan is a building and facility that can be used, has wonderful amenities and lots of opportunities to gather in the space, both formally and informally, but it's also an office and organization that provides signature programs and workshops, and it's open to all of our campus community. We, as a collective staff team and program, want to be here for folks that are learning about and exploring their own facets of identity. And we also want to provide workshops and trainings for folks that are hoping to engage across difference more effectively. And we hope that you will find your way into Trotter to meet us and many of the wonderful students we have. Getting involved in the center, getting involved through our programs is absolutely one avenue. We also employ several dozen student staff who work in various capacities. They can serve as programming assistants, helping us plan those events and workshops that my colleagues just described. They can also be a part of our guest services and our building manager facilities team that is flipping over the spaces and changing the composition of each room in terms of the needs of the folks that are in and using those spaces. And so we'd welcome that you explore that opportunity to connect with Trotter as well. Over the next couple of slides, there are a few frequently asked questions, and I'll make the continued pitch to throw your own questions in the chat. But I'm going to read from the screen and then pepper in a few as well. In terms of our signature programs, all of our signature programs are open to the campus community. Anyone can attend and enjoy those events. Sometimes within the facility, other organizations are hosting their events, and so it may vary as to if it's a public event or if it's a specific conference or workshop for a designated office or audience. And then we engage in workshops that we host either in the facility or often are traveling to classes, to other units, to student organizations. Last year alone, even through the pandemic, we had several dozen partnerships where we were working and meeting students where they are and trying to take the information and resources that Trotter has to share out where it's most needed. When we look at some of the questions that often come up, another unit within the Division of Student Life is MESA, or Multi-Ethnic Student Affairs. They are colleagues that work in very similar realms, but with a slightly different purpose as far as an office goes. Where MESA will spend time working with student organizations and focus on deep dives around specific identities and heritage and celebration months. Trotter is intending to engage in broader conversations and discourse across difference. And so we're working in realms where identities come together, where organizations come together and want to be more effective and engaging. We also recognize that our facility is used for students to study, to gather, to engage, but we are really a different space and serve different purposes than a union may on a college campus community. We often get asked about our hours of operation and the time that we're open. It does vary in spring and summer versus during the traditional semesters. We open sometimes early in the morning if we are hosting academic classes, 8 a.m. to midnight during our fall and winter semesters, and then we'll have a reduced set of hours over the course of summer. There are lots of ways to use the space in casual terms and in drop-ins, and you'll see all of the beautiful rooms and spaces that Jenny had described. But we also have some amenities that are highlighted and specifically available for students. If we look at the, my slides are moving slow, I apologize for that. If we look at our reservation process, we do partner with Conference and Event Services to manage reservations from organizations and units within the facility. Our webpage, which was a part of the video earlier, is an excellent resource in terms of seeing room capacities and being able to start a reservation for a group or organization that you are a part of. There are specific spaces, the Student Organization Lounge and the Sankofa Lounge and the Roof Garden Deck, that are reservable exclusively for student organizations. This is meant to ensure that we have specific spaces that students get access to. That doesn't mean no other human beings are allowed to go into those spaces when weather is nice. We do have the best view on all of State Street out on the roof garden deck. Student organization lounge space is certainly used for impromptu meetings or folks popping in between classes. But you'll also see with the amenities we have, one of my favorite is little tabletops that have large post-it note paper tops on it. So you can take your meeting notes right there while you're speaking, then take a little bit of the table with you when you're done so you don't forget what was discussed. When we look at, Jenny had mentioned earlier, we have locker spaces available for student organizations. There are hundreds of student organizations on campus, and so that is very limited with 20 of those lockers. But we do, again, partner with our colleagues in the Center for Campus Involvement who run the Maze Pages platform, which is a website, if you will, or almost a social media for student organizations where you can find out about different clubs, different affinity groups that exist. And through that platform, organizations can reserve a locker space for the year so that they can keep their materials on campus. They don't have to have somebody keep it at their apartment or their residence hall room. They can utilize Trotter as that space so that the organization, one, has a place to store things, but also we love being the facility where those organizations have the opportunity to use those materials that they need to store. Trotter is a multicultural center, and one of the things that we are excited about and recognize is often folks will get to know and understand people from different backgrounds and experiences through things like food. And as a reservable space, we have the distinction of having a more expanded preferred caterers or approved caterers list, which is available on our web page, because we recognize that if we are breaking bread together, if we're gathering, if we're chopping it up, the ability to have authentic cuisine that is appropriate for a program, an event, or a meeting is something that's very important when communities are expressing who they are to the broader community at large. And so that is another amenity and feature that is a part of the process. All of our reservable spaces outside of those special ones for student organizations can be reserved. No reservation costs a student organization, but if a department or another unit or an outside entity is using it, there are fees associated with that also can be viewed on our webpage. I would open this up to any other questions folks have or things colleagues would like to share, but you don't have to know all of your questions now. We hope as you get into your experience on campus, you'll come by and visit us. We're at 428 South State Street, right in the heart of the campus community, and we wouldn't be the center we are without the students that are with us every day. And so hopefully you'll count yourselves among them when you get to campus.
All right, so we've given y'all a lot of information in the past 30 minutes. So I'm gonna break it down simple for y'all. The things that, if you don't remember anything else from this presentation, these are the top takeaways that we want you to leave with. So as you see on the screen, this is some insights from some folks who've engaged with Trotter Multicultural Center and the facility. Through question, what does Trotter mean to the community? So if you see in that first, the WM Trotter House has always been a place where authenticity is encouraged and community inclusiveness and kindness are the norm. It's truly a home away from home and a safe space for students, faculty, and staff. So at Trotter, our vision, our goal, our mission is to continue to foster spaces where we can have intercultural engagement where folks are able to engage with others who are different from them, different backgrounds, different social identities, different cultures, but also different connections between and among communities, and provide a supportive space where folks are able to use and lean into some of those different ways that you can engage with our space through our facility, through our programming, and all those different aspects. Especially for those of us in the past. And then as a quick recap, so this information was shared in the video, but and able to create what is now the Trotter Multicultural Center, originally the Trotter House, from that BAM movement that occurred at the University of Michigan, to support the community for Black students on campus. And then it moved to the Washtenaw location in 1981, where Fraternity Life office is currently located. But as you see, it's expanded, us being able to not only support Black students on campus who the original student activism came from, but also be able to support all students in the regard of how do we create and strengthen those connections across different diverse communities and students. And then lastly, and you've heard our team say this time and time again, but we provide a space for community building for the entire student population. So yes, our name has multicultural in it, but knowing that our building is open to, and our programming is open to all students, and being able to engage in those signature programs that Priscilla and myself talked about, or some of those facility uses and spaces that Jenny talked about, and being able to truly lean into what that experience means for you as you embark on your journey at the University of Michigan and engage with Trotter.
So our hope is that you come visit us. We are located at 428 South State Street, right down the street from the Union, across from Angel Hall, and only a couple of steps away from downtown Ann Arbor. So we hope that you come and visit. If you want to learn more about us or our any of the programs we talked about, or any space reservation, student org locker access, etc., you can find us at trotter.umich.edu. And there's just a nice little picture of our website in case you have you want to know a little bit more. Lastly, I would be remiss if I did not mention to sign up on social media, follow us, find us on Facebook, tweet about us positively. But all these things, we our handle is UMich Trotter, or excuse me, not UMich, excuse me, UM Trotter MC. So if you need any information or you want to follow what's happening for the latest for our center, you can find it there. You also can sign up for our newsletter that comes out during the academic year every week. So every week, usually on Mondays, it comes out, and you can find the little link there. Or if you go on our website, on the top right-hand corner, you'll find sign up for our newsletter. You just have to put your name and your email address, and we'll do the rest. And then if you want to email us with any questions that you might have, you can find us at trottermc.info@umich.edu. We get all kinds of questions, and you might hear from us pretty immediately, or it might take us some time to get back to you. It just depends on if we forward the appropriate question to the right person and we can get you the right answer in a quick enough time span. So again, if you're looking for us, that's where we are, located right there. We hope that you come and find us, and we're going to open up the space for you to ask any questions that you might have. So we encourage you to use the Q&A section right at the bottom of the screen if you have any questions in relationship to the work that we do, any questions around our programming, any questions about what is it going to look like in the fall. We will be more than happy to answer anything that you all might have. And in my time with facilitating, I'm very comfortable with silence, but we won't keep you silent for too long. Well, right now, I don't see any questions, but if people have lingering thoughts or feelings, feel free to ask. I think the only additional thing is you will start to see, if you have visited us on campus, if you have an M card currently, you can access the building, and you will see that the building is slowly but surely returning back to pre-COVID setups. So the furniture setup that you see maybe behind me or behind Priscilla or behind Jenny will feel very much like what the building looks like in the typical academic year. So we welcome you. We're excited for you to join us come the fall 2021 semester. And we look forward for you to be joining us or seeing us or stopping by.